Welcome to the Mindful Bird Sit by Bird Mentor. Today we're going to be focusing on our ears and listening for subtleties in the sounds and different layers of sounds in the environment around us. And at the end, we're going to have an interesting conversation about birds. And actually, one of our students brought up a really fantastic question about where the geese are going right now. So she had observed the geese in her area, and then all of a sudden they all just left. And so we pondered that together as a group at the end. All right, let's get started. And just finding it really beneficial to recognize those sounds in the environment that I just sort of dismiss, and the ones that I don't really pay attention to. And I'll help us by having the sounds in categories. So I'll ask us to be listening to particular categories of sounds, and then guide you from there. So yeah, let yourself settle in right now and come to be present with us, with this group today, with each individual here, with your space. And of course, as always, you don't have to be focusing on me or the screen, just on what you're seeing right now. And if you find you do have to move positions or move yourself during the session, just go ahead and put your video on, just hide your video so we don't have to watch you move. Because I know for me, I key into those subtle motions, right? Because we practice owl eyes. And so I'm like, what's happening over there? Anyway, so yeah, today, speaking of owl eyes, we will be looking, using our owl eyes throughout the practice, but that's not going to be our main focus. So feel free to look around, feel free to use your binoculars if you want to. And it's actually, that would be almost even more challenging if you want to take it to that place, because by focusing on your eyes, your ears have to work a little bit harder to focus. And so you also welcome to close your eyes. If you're just in a place today where you'd rather just be really simple and quiet, then closing your eyes is also a perfect thing to do as well. So go ahead and find your feet both planted on the ground or cross-legged or whatever you want to do. But just let yourself feel that connection with the earth beneath you right now, knowing that there's this big, beautiful body beneath us that's holding us up right now, carrying so much in her arms, all sorts of life underneath our feet, different types of soil, just imagining all the different types of soil that are underneath each of us. Some of you have clay soils, some more loamy soils, some pretty soggy soils right now. So just thinking about the earth. And actually, one of our friends, some of you might remember him from a birdsong class many years ago. His name is Trevin. He was an instructor for a while, as a student for a while, an instructor. He's teaching his own courses right now, which is really exciting, in Arizona. And Trevin, I was just talking to him the other day, and he was telling me that there's a tree, I think it's a mesquite tree in Arizona, that they discovered had a taproot of 200 meters. It stretched down 200 meters to try to find the water. So just imagine yourself right now, your feet or your butt on the ground, just imagining a taproot going deep, deep, deep into the earth, listening to the stillness, the quietness that exists down there. Maybe it's noisy, I don't know. For those who spend their life underneath the earth, I wonder what they hear. And just allow yourself to imagine that right now as you travel deep down into the earth in your mind. And maybe at this point, your breath has begun to slow a little bit, maybe regulate some. And so now you can bring yourself and your awareness back up from the taproot, bringing some good nutrients with you as you travel back up. Taking a nice deep breath in, all that goodness from down the earth, and then exhaling. And as you exhale, follow your breath. Just notice how deep It travels as you inhale and exhale into your belly. Does it stop at your chest and your lungs? Does it go down into your diaphragm, maybe into your belly? Just notice where your breath is residing right now. Nice work. And as we're exploring our breath, in a similar region of our body is our heart, that beautiful, tender, yet very strong and courageous part of our body. So just become friends with your heart this morning and allow your heart to allow yourself just to become aware of the rhythm of your heartbeat right now. So we've tapped into our breath and noticed where our breath has traveled, and now just notice your heart rate. Can you feel that? Can you hear it? What is your experience of your heart rate? Beautiful. And now as you take your next deep breath in, go ahead and do so with the intention of smelling the air. Just remembering the last time we did this, when we smelled the air, if you can recall what that scent was that you tapped into. And is it similar? Is it different this time? Looking for what's unique about the air this morning, the scent on the air. Are there any sensations that come to you when your olfactory nerves are focused on, when we key into those a little bit? Maybe I'm sure there's many thousands of messages that we're receiving, whether we're conscious of them or not. Just let yourself play with that for a moment. Good work. Sorry, I'm just about to burst out in laughter for a moment because just as I said, play with that, this young cardinal, it's a juvenile cardinal, tried to land on the fence post but didn't quite make it up there. It's like, whew, and then just dropped down to the ground. It was just a funny moment, a good reminder to be playful, especially during this practice. It's another way to help us soften our being and our energy out there in the world, is to bring that sense of play rather than seriousness. It doesn't have to be a serious practice. It can be a lighthearted one. So we'll begin with that. And so as you all know to do, I think everyone here has been here at least once before, maybe a few times or many times. So now go ahead and open your eyes if they were closed, just for a moment or two, finding a point off in the distance. Let your eyes focus on that, and then slowly, as if you're watching a ripple, as if the item that you're focusing on is that where the pebble landed in the water. And now ripple after ripple after ripple, your vision is going to expand further and further and further and further out. And just see how far you can stretch your vision right now. Without trying, it's going to be a softer experience. So you're going to be focused on that point. Think about when a rock, for instance, hits the water, that initial part of the ripple is the strongest. And then the ripples after that are just softer and bigger and bigger and bigger. So let your eyes expand further and further out. Your vision, that is. And then just noticing what you start to notice. So Are there any motions or movements that you might not have picked up before, but now are, that you're in owl eyes, as we call it? Great. And so this is a really beautiful place to stay. You can stay in owl eyes for the remainder of our practice. That's going to be a challenge, I'm sure. So you're welcome to flow between owl eyes and focused vision. You're also welcome to close your eyes at this point, as we're going to be moving to our ears. And so now we're going to go in layers of sound. And I want you to think about the 360 degrees around you. So when I give you an instruction about which type of sound we're going to be listening for, I'd like you to first start with the area behind yourself. So imagining what the sound, like looking for the sound I'm directing you to find, first behind yourself, and then you can choose to go to your left or right, doesn't matter. Looking for that sound, then go in front of you, and then to your other direction. And then above and below if you can also. So we're going to begin by looking and listening for the human-made sounds in the world. So I'm going to put myself on mute. We'll do this for the next couple of minutes. You'll have some time. Just let yourself really explore the sounds. And if you're like, oh, there's no human-made sounds right now, stretch and try to really hear some. Because again, remember, there's those sounds that we just allow to become background noise, and we almost don't hear them anymore. So we'll begin with human-made sounds. Nice work. So you can just cleanse your palate, as it were. Just allow yourself to listen to all the sounds in this moment. Can give your focus a break. All right, and now we're going to shift to the sounds of mammals, so non-human mammals. So listening in all directions. Start first with the sounds behind you and listening for mammals. And sometimes you might have to stretch your ears far away to hear them, but it's a really good practice. Sometimes when we explore these sounds, especially if they're particular ones that are quiet, some of you might have a dog barking in your neighborhood, so it makes it a little bit easier in some ways. But if you don't have any sounds that are mammal sounds, for instance, around you, it's kind of like if you've ever tried to walk through like a thick brush in the nighttime, you have to sort of move away the bushes in front of you, the branches in front of you to try to get to that clearing. And sometimes it's like that when you're listening, you have to sort of clear away the other sounds to really, really listen for the ones you're trying to find and pick them out. And so now I'm going to take you to a sound that might be a little bit easier for some of you, depending on what time of day it is or what the weather's like. So now we're going to shift to our bird friends. And so we're going to have a couple different adventures with this one. And so we'll begin first by just listening for general bird sound. You don't have to listen for anything specific just yet, but just general bird sound, again, in all directions all around you. So we'll do that for the next couple of minutes. And for this round, don't worry about identifying them or trying to identify them. Just kind of acknowledge, like, oh, there's a bird over there. That's a bird sound over here. Okay, and now we're going to go a level deeper. And we're still going to be listening in the 360 degrees around us, but this time I want you to listen for 3 different types of bird sounds. They can be from different birds or the same bird, just different qualities of sound that they're making. So listening for 3 different calls. And so each time you hear one, you're going to just register that, like, oh, there's a raspy one. Oh, look, that's really melodious, and etc. And then once you found your 3, you can move on to your next direction. All right, good work. It's okay if you didn't finish. If you haven't made it all the way around, that's just fine. So we're going to move, I'll move a little bit more quickly through the next group of sounds, just so we can get to them all. So we'll spend like a minute with each one. And so the next group is going to be the amphibians. So thinking of frogs and whatnot. So we'll listen for those for the next minute. Okay, good work. Now we're going to shift to insects. So any insect sounds around you. Okay. And now we're going to be listening for sounds of water. So for some of you, this might be a stretch. Others, it might be relatively easy. But just let your mind kind of wander with this one. So sounds of water. And then one of our last ones we're going to be listening for are the sounds of wind and or the unseen. And now, finally, as a celebration, we're just going to allow our ears just to bathe in the beauty of the sounds around us without trying to focus on anything for the next minute. All right. Good work, everybody. So take just a moment to offer your own sort of or sense of gratitude or thanksgiving to those all those ones that you interacted with today in whatever form that it was. Okay. So, for those who need to head out, thank you so much for coming and joining us today. And anyone else who wants to stay and chat with us to see how it went for y'all, you're welcome to stick around. We have a nice crew here today. So, would love to hear from folks what their experience was like listening this morning, and anything that came to you while you were exploring the different layers of sound. And actually, I'll start. So for me, one thing that came up was when we got to the water, the sounds of water. So it had rained this morning, but there's no rain anymore, for at least now, this little bit of time. But just as we said, as I said, the water piece, I was listening and stretching my ears, and then I heard this goose make its quacking sound. I was like, huh. And it's actually calling from pretty, it's a distance away, but I know where the pond is, where they hang out during the day. And I was just like, I guess that's a version of a sound of water, you know? Kind of like, I guess it's a little bit different, but what it made me think of was when, for instance, when you listen to wind, what you're really hearing is the interaction of the wind and the tree leaves or the plants and whatever. You're not necessarily hearing the wind itself. It's always in relationship to something else. And so, yeah, I was thinking of that with the water. Again, it's a little bit different, but it just got me thinking in an interesting way. Anyone else want to share their experience today? Yeah, Kelly, please.
Yeah, when you mentioned amphibians, I realized I've lived here for 3 years and don't recall ever seeing any amphibians. And it's just one of those things like I live alongside a river. I'm sure there's frogs around, but I haven't ever listened for them. So that's something new to explore and listen for here. Thank you for that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. That's beautiful just to think about the ones that we don't think about, you know. Thanks, Kelly. Who else would like to share their experience this morning? Yeah, Julia, go for it. Mm-hmm.
Well, in my experience this morning, the cast of characters didn't get their cues. So when I was listening for human made sounds, there's all seems like always traffic, trucks on a interstate in the distance and things silent. And I thought it was like it was a holiday when there was no business open or something like that. And how unusual it was. No one working in their yard or blowing or anything. And I really relished the silence. And so that was a treat. And then, though, in the gratitude, a plane was coming over, and I'll be on a plane Friday, so I'm going to be away for a few weeks. And I think, yeah, but I was grateful for the sound of the plane staying in the air. Which, anyway, but and then the insects, I have butterflies all over the place now, but they don't make a sound, and not, at least not that I can hear. So anyway, I enjoyed the morning though.
Thank you. Yeah, it can be so fun. I know I had a similar experience with them not being on cue. There was one, I forget what I was listening for, and then all of a sudden there was like a human made sound that came in. I was like, hey, I already listened to you. Like, or for you, not yet. And so, yeah, some of them came in like when they sort of weren't supposed to, you know? Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Julia. Yeah, Linda, please. You're muted, Linda.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, I had to unmute myself. Yeah, you were good.
I'm good now still?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. My phone has a mind of its own. But anyway, I have the robin as my bird mentor for my master's class. And ever since I've been doing that, I've been noticing robins so much more. And this spring, there have been so many more robins around, I think. They may have always been there, and I just didn't pay much attention to them, but I'm so focused in on them. And I'm surrounded by about 6 robins this morning, all singing. And I know they're robins because I can actually see them. And they're all singing different songs, different variations of cheery up, cheerio, cheery up, cheerio. They're not, the robin does not just sing one song. They have all kinds of vocalizations. At least this morning in my yard, they seem to. They're talking to each other and occasionally chasing, and sometimes there's a couple on the driveway. I live on a dirt road and a gravel driveway, and they're collecting some gravel, I think. But anyway, it was just, and their song is so, it has that flute-like quality that thrushes have, and I just love it. Every single version of their song that I was listening to this morning had that quality to it. So it was just really cool to be able to be able to hear them all at once. You know, I've been noticing they've got different songs, but they really do have different songs. So anyway, so thank you. I really enjoyed it. I really got focused on robins. It was hard to let go of them because they were all right here, and they're not quiet birds. I mean, they're not soft calling birds. So
Yeah. Oh, Linda, that's so beautiful. I love that you're just like the depth that you're going with the robins in your yard and around you, and the fact that you're hearing the different layers of song that they have,
yeah,
the different
yeah,
kinds of song that they have, like the same, similar but different, you know, and the
yeah.
different voices. I wonder, like for your own self, to start to explore, to like maybe choose one of those songs to really identify with or get to know it, and then see if you can like listen for that one. Like, can you
Okay.
follow that one through different times of day? You know, it's like, oh yeah, that's the one that always goes up at the end, or that's the one that always does this at the, you know, whatever. And see if you
Hmm.
can track it, you know, in your yard at different times.
That's a good idea. Yeah, it would be interesting to notice when they're singing different versions too, or if the different versions are just different birds. But
Mm-hmm.
the thought was crossed my mind. Well, I wonder if they're just saying different things to each other, you know? So anyway, it,
Yeah, what
I
I
will
mean,
do
what
that.
fun questions to explore, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so cool. All right, thank you.
Sure, you bet. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you.
Yeah. Yeah, Anne, please.
I don't know if you can hear it, but thank you, Linda, about the different songs because right now I'm listening to the robins and I turned on Merlin because I swore there must have been a dozen different birds, and it's like, no, Robin, 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 Robin. But I'm noticing that the sounds of the birds have changed. The blue jays are doing their happy gurgling sound in the morning. And I looked at my husband and said, we haven't heard that one in a while, because I think maybe they come at different times, during their mating season or when the juveniles are hatching, and maybe they're saying the babies are here, the babies are here. And
Mm.
so, yeah, but that's interesting that you pulled that up because it's loud here. I'm in the trees. So,
Yeah, I can hear that. That's awesome.
yeah.
So beautiful. Actually, it's funny that you both are talking about robins because this morning I was sitting out here having breakfast and doing some work, and there's a mockingbird. We don't have very many robins here in this part of South Carolina anyway, and there's like I think in all the months that I've been here now, there's like one that I've heard. Um, and there's certainly none in this neighborhood. But this morning I heard a robin, and I was like, "What? There's a robin singing! That's so cool!" And then it changed to something else, and changed. I was like, "Oh, it's a mockingbird!" But he did like a perfect rendition of a robin, and he's done it a couple of times. I think I've heard him sing it a couple times, and yeah, it was just like a sweet. I don't know. It's just sweet to like be reminded of them and to know that he or she has obviously spent some time near Robin so that he could learn that song. And so yeah, robins are amazing. All right, we have time for one more. Anyone else want to share their experience story? Anything? And Gabrielle and Cindy, I can't see you guys, so if you do want to share, just put your hand up or come off or make. Oh yeah, Joy, we'll take you for the last one. Wonderful.
Well, this morning I was trying to get past the red-eyed vireo that is 24/7, it seems to be singing here. So that was the brush that I had to brush away, to listen to the other sounds that are out here. Not that I mind listening to him, and I did get a little more deeply, I think, into his song this morning and noticing the different variations and the little twirls and things that I normally would have, instead of just saying, would you mind just going and having some lunch so I can hear something else? But I actually have a question I'd like to pose, if I may.
Sure, please.
Um, we've got this pond at the bottom of our street here. It's quite small, but there's always, every year, there's probably 4 or 5 families Canada geese that nest there and raise their young. And with this year, there were 4 families, probably 22 babies. And I watch them every day. They're there. The young are still quite small, definitely not flying yet. One day, all 4 families are gone, completely gone. The same thing happened last year. It's never happened in previous years. They'd always raised their young to full adulthood. Then last year, they all disappeared on the same day at the same time. Well, I don't know about the same time, but the day. They were there one day, gone the next. And then the same thing has happened this year. And it's quite a distance to any other bodies of water. And they'd have, if to take those babies to walk, they'd have to cross a major highway. So I'm not sure what is happening to these geese. Have you any ideas?
It's really wonderful question. Yeah, it looks like Anne has a thought. Go ahead, Anne.
I don't know where you live, Joy, but my first reaction here from Ohio is coyotes, predators, and a pack of them that would take that many birds.
Well, we do have coyotes here, but wouldn't they have wouldn't the, like there's neighbors around, there's houses around, would they not have heard? And nobody hears anything, and there's no feathers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Another
thought
thought,
coyotes too, because we do have them, but I don't think we have packs. Like, well, there's a pair I know that live around here, but
Well, if
yeah,
there's a pair, then there's babies, and
might be babies, but
2. I mean, they'll if there's 2, there's more.
wouldn't they leave some sign?
They possibly could, but I've seen where they've taken a deer, and the only thing I saw, and they drag them away,
so
and there
that's a
could
so
be
that's a
feathers.
possibility. Let's toy
Somebody
around
else.
with a couple other ideas. Yeah, yeah. So there's the coyote is a possibility. What else? What else do people think? What else? Why else might they leave? Maybe death. Death is an option, but what else might cause the birds to go? Yeah, go ahead, Cindy. You might have to get off of mute. I'm not sure. Yeah, there you go. Oh, you're frozen. Rats. We
Hello?
can't hear. Oh, you're a little choppy, Cindy. Try it now.
Oh, still? How about now?
Yeah, maybe turn your
No, I
video
guess,
off. If you turn your video off, it might be better with the audio.
uh, okay. Um, how about now? Can you hear me?
It's a little bit better. Give it a shot. Yeah.
No?
Yep.
Okay. So we have maybe I don't know, 10-acre pond. And the geese, when they disappear, our pond has a little ditch that brings the water to it. They go along the ditch quite a long ways to another pond. They walk along the ditch with their young to a pond quite a ways away of the neighbors, their water pond. So that's a possibility. Thanks.
That's that's interesting. Thank you for that one. Yeah, Julia, what do you think?
Well, in my experience, a major highway is no deterrent to a family of geese crossing. It's just amazing. And fortunately, the cars stop and we back up. And I think of the little story of the ducklings, there in Boston. But anyway, that's my contribution.
That's good to remember, I think, that even though for us it's like, well, that would make no sense. Why would the mother do that, But then you see those videos all the time of the there's a lot of fish crows talking right now. Um of yeah, like just what you're describing, Julia, of the mama leading her ducklings across the road, across the highway, and even though it doesn't make any sense to us, like she knows where she has to go with them, and for whatever reason she chooses to move them. And I think of like the mama fox that I got to watch for a couple years in a row, and almost every night, if not every couple of nights, she was moving her kits to different dens. to keep them away from predators. And
Mm.
they'd be, at my house for a couple days and then they'd be gone. It was just like, what, did they just die? Like, what happened to all the fox babies? And then, like 3 days later, like there'd be four more there that weren't there before, and then they'd be gone, and then three would be there, and two, anyway. So she was always moving her little ones. But one other thought I had, Joy, was are there any fields near your house or near where you guys live?
Yeah,
It's
that would
it's
be
pretty.
good.
It's not really close by. It's fairly built up. There are some areas that I do see families of geese on some grass, but it's just these four families that all left at the same time. And Cindy's idea might be a possibility because the water does flow through, but then it goes underneath the road, and I'm not really sure how the water goes to wherever it goes to. I probably should investigate that and see if that's a possibility. But yeah, thank you for the suggestions, everybody. It's just a puzzle, and it's just that it's never happened before, and then 2 years in a row. And of course, they're not at quite the same stage of development. These geese babies, some of them are older and some are younger, so it just seemed very odd that this should happen. But thank you
Yeah.
very much for your suggestions.
It's a really fun question. I hope you do explore it more, Joy, especially like when there's something unified like that, when they all go together at the same day, the same time. We don't know about time, but the same day. Um, yeah, there could be many reasons to cause that. It could be predator related. Maybe one or two of the young got taken, and if they decided just like, all right, we can't stay here anymore. Maybe it was that there's really good food somewhere else. Maybe, who knows? It's just time to teach the young that this is where else we need to travel. Um, there's all sorts of reasons why, and yeah, I really like where was it Julia is taking us in that thinking of just because we might think it's an impediment or impediment, to do something, it may not be so much for a bird. And even one, let's say, without the use of its wings just yet. And so I like that idea, Joy, of like maybe the water does go under the ground, but like, yeah, where does it go and how does it come out? And see if you can go to that other pond right now and just see, are they there? I don't know. It's just such a fun. I love these kind of mysteries that take us on a journey, ourselves. And it's like we're a kid again, getting to explore and play. And yeah, Cindy, you have something. Oh, I think you're muted, Cindy. Sorry. I'm just take you off mute.
Okay, so the geese, normally they eat in the fields, and when they feel nervous about stuff, they won't come into the pond till even after dark, and they'll leave early and stay out in the fields. I'm wondering if your geese are starting to get to the point where the parents are trying to start teaching them to hang out in the fields, feeding during the day, and then look for a safe place to spend the night where they can see a long ways. It could be a pond. It could be, yeah, it could be a golf course. It could be, um, there might be a neighbor who has a lovely large mowed lawn with no dog or anything where the geese actually could hang out. I don't know. Lots of options, but they might be
Right.
teaching the babies now.
Yeah, so
That's a
many
good
good
point. There is
questions.
quite a grassy area beside the pond where they do hang out during the daytime and feed on the grass there. So yeah, maybe they've gone to move to a bigger area. That's a possibility. Thank
Well,
you.
Joy, as you kind of progress with your exploration of this, will you keep us posted?
Yeah.
Sure, I will. If anything else comes up, I'll,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
And the
definitely.
neighbors are all talking about it too, so they may have some more ideas. So
Okay, good, good.
yeah.
I love that it also is something that like brings a community together, brings the neighbors together to have conversations, and what a fun thing, like
Yeah.
who knows, maybe the geese just did this one simple thing and everyone's like, what happened to them? And yeah, it's really fun. This is why birds are so cool. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming today. Thank you for your question, Joy.
Thank
I love
you.
that it brought all of us, and have a lovely week, y'all.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye. From there, and I will, like I said, I'll mute. I've got a what do you call it? A squirrel in heat behind me. She's been being chased by four males all morning long. Luckily, she did copulate with one male already, so I think he's gonna like defend her now. I don't really. I've watched it a couple times in the past, but man, she was exhausted running away from like all four of them at a couple different times today. She's like laying on the branch, just like like panting. And so anyway, there might be some squirrel activity behind me.